We'll talk about that in a minute, but I wanted to share with you again what we were talking about at the end of the first hour and discussing the Trump legal peril. Buck, do you agree with me that every Republican running for president should pledge to pardon Donald Trump of all federal charges in the event that they are elected president in 2024?
Absolutely. I can't even think of, from a conservative or a Republican point of view, a particularly strong counterpoint to it. I can't see a reason why you wouldn't. Now, I think it's right on political grounds. I think it's right on ethical grounds. So what else is there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you were someone running who hates Trump and believes that he should go to prison, like Liz Cheney might do.
I was going to say, then you're not a Republican, you're a phony,
correct,
right? So
correct.
For any real... Yeah.
Like, the Lincoln Project would be opposed to this, right? And as a general rule,
the Lincoln Project.
If the Lincoln Project is opposed to something and you have a spine and you have a, functional brain, you should be opposed to whatever they're opposed to. And it is funny, by the way, how quickly they've pivoted from Trump as a unique threat to the Republic to, if Ron DeSantis gets elected, it's important to recognize that he's maybe even a bigger threat. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Buck, but I have not seen any Republican candidate running who has made that pledge publicly yet. Have you?
No, and look, Ron is not yet a candidate, so we'll see what he says. I do remember when there was the discussion of extradition, and everyone recalls there was a little bit of heat on DeSantis when the charges were announced. People saying, "Hold on, why did he miss this opportunity?" He did say that he would not in any way have the state of Florida cooperate in that extradition. Now, at the end of the day, legally, that's a losing battle because of existing law. But he was basically saying we're going to do everything we can to gum up the works and not help out with this, which I think was the right move under those circumstances too. So I would not be surprised at all if he came forward and said I would. I mean, on the right these days, understanding who the real opposition is and trying to unite our team on what really matters. There's going to be fighting. There's going to be sniping about stuff. But I think people will see that in a very positive light. And I think from what I see, I don't know, maybe I'm just missing this, right? This is all perception driven. Whenever there's anything out of the Trump camp or even some of the Trump spokespersons, that's like, look, Ron's a great governor, but we just know it has to be Trump this go around. The people that I know who are, still deciding, they're like, that starts to, but whenever they say, Ron DeSantis is a George Soros funded, globalist deep state operative who's working with the Bilderbergs, I'm like, that's actually going to help Ron DeSantis more than it hurts him.
Yeah, I think Trump's strongest argument on DeSantis is, hey, I'm going to be president for 4 more years. He's doing a good job in Florida, but he's not ready for this job yet. So you need me for 4 years, and then in 2028, I might even endorse Ron DeSantis because I might think he's the best option for the country, but he's not ready yet.
Yeah, no one wants to feel like someone's turned into a suicide bomber during the primary. You know what I mean? Like they're just going to take the whole system down with them.
As opposed to the Hillary. Did you see Hillary's tweet? Like when Trump is basically making the same argument as the NAACP and Hillary, I think that's a really weak argument for Trump, right? Because Hillary is not renowned for her extreme genius in this respect. But Hillary tweeted, I wanted to make sure we hit this too, because I saw it and I think it ties in with what's happened to Disney. Hillary tweeted, and I mean, just come on, Hillary. And then she turned off replies, Buck. So nobody could actually reply to it. And I would just say this. If you have an opinion and you turn off everybody being able to reply to your opinion on Twitter, then that is not a very strong sign that your argument is a good one if you're worried about what people will say in response to it. But this is, I'm going to scroll down. I want to make sure I get her tweet right. Ron DeSantis, Hillary Clinton. Ron DeSantis's ultra MAGA Florida isn't safe for people of color, LGBTQ people, or even multi-billion-dollar corporations. And she puts it in there. This is a very Clinton move to put in multi-billion-dollar corporations. But when your argument is Florida sucks and it's an awful place, and that's why Ron DeSantis doesn't deserve to be president of the United States, you're basically parroting lies that are the same thing as what the NAACP and Hillary Clinton are saying, right? And I think that's a really inefficient way to attack Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, we all have to be on the same page about what's good on as a conservative or on the right. You know, low taxes, low crime relative to what's happened in the rest of the country, an influx of people, and it's true of Tennessee, it's true of Texas. You know, we give you. It's funny because now we're a Floridian and a Tennessean, so we give not as much credit to Texas as it deserves on this. But Texas was really the original low tax, pro freedom state that started to get a lot of people, and that's been going on. I mean, look, I remember when I went to work for Glenn Beck at the Blaze. I came out of the CIA. I go work for Glenn, and he was New York based, and he moved to Dallas. And at the time, it was people were like, "Whoa, how you're in media? How do you do that?" Glenn sees many steps ahead, and he saw, I think, what was coming with this sorting of the country into basically free and authoritarian, which is really what blue and red, I think, has become. And this is a dynamic that I'm going to be really interested to see how it plays out in the primary overall, because you've got a bunch of high wattage candidates. Like, I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy is going to win the election. I mean, I could be wrong, but he's an interesting guy who, throws some good points into the mix. And I think that and understands the economic and financial side of things. I don't know what Nikki Haley's really going to bring to things other than apparently take cheap shots at Ron DeSantis on behalf of Trump, but she's there. So there's that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all these different candidates look at what is happening in the country and explain what that vision of the future is. Is it create the same, use the federal government to create as much room for more, Tennessee, Florida, Texas policies in other states? Or is it just try to wall off those places and protect them from federal overreach? I mean, I want to hear what the vision is, what the national level vision is, because we really haven't heard that articulated from anyone yet. I mean, Trump, you could say it's more of Trump, but things have changed since Trump. This is a part of it that we haven't really had much of as part of the discussion, right? The pandemic and the authoritarianism and our perception of American politics since 2019, and into 2020, Trump's last year in office has shifted, and the party has shifted too. So there's a lot that's going to be worked out, I think, as part of the primary.
This ties in, by the way, why I think DeSantis's battle with Disney has resonated very well with the base of the Republican Party. Now, I think it's made the corporatists very nervous. If you're a big business guy, you're not happy with DeSantis feuding with Disney. And I thought one of the funniest criticisms that was Ron DeSantis took $50,000 from Disney and now he's, taking shots at him. Isn't that what you want? Don't you want someone to do what's right irrespective of who their donors are? Like, that actually seems like a really strong point.
And I remember speaking to a guy in the world of finance, and I always thought this was just really not someone I knew well, but like a hedge fund guy. And we're talking about this is when I was living in New York City. He said, "You know what I do? I give to every district attorney campaign. I give to every. There's a candidate who has any shot of winning. I give to Republicans. I give to Democrats. I'd give to the chief commissar if they're running for district attorney, because I just want to know. I want them to know that is how corporations operate for the most part. A lot of them do." They just give money to whomever they think is going to be in a position to be advantageous to their interests when it matters. And that means giving to both sides, right? Look at I thought this was interesting remember Sam Bankman-Fried? Does anyone, can we just take a moment? How many of you even remember? Remember the little guy with the curly hair, made like tens of billions of dollars, just disappear, and he was like, "Hey, I'm like living in like the top of a mansion and I have sex parties," and like this little weird guy who was running this crypto exchange that the Miami Heat arena was named for, FTX, right? And but remember, he was giving money, or those guys were giving money to both sides, and people were like, "Oh, well, it's not political." No, it's very political. The whole point. So with Ron DeSantis, okay, Disney wanted to give him money, great. They're supporting a candidate that they hope is a good leader. That's what the money's supposed to be for. It's not supposed to be, we're buying you off, we're just not saying it. That's for the Biden family. That's a specific thing.